but that property was worth 125 grand when I bought it. Now it's worth 225 grand. I owed 100 grand when I bought it. All said and done, now I owe like 60, 70 grand. So I have like 150 grand in equity almost in one rental property that I bought using it in my own money. So that's just a microcosm of like the power of even what one property can do in just like 7 or 8 years.
Hello, and thank you for joining us today on the Gentle Art of Crushing It show, where we focus on learning and sharing with our listeners all there is to know about how to create success in our lives. This show stands on the shoulders of giants. Our mission is to empower and inspire our listeners to create the life of their dreams whilst having a blast in the process. Let's celebrate life together. Welcome to the show.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Gentle Art of Crushing It podcast. My name is Nathan with Undor Properties, and I'm one of 6 hosts who bring you conversations 3 times a week on a variety of topics around real estate, business, and personal motivation. And our goal with this podcast is to help you succeed in whatever target you're aiming at. We're all committed to finding the best and the brightest people who aren't just talking about doing big things, but are actually taking the steps to achieve their dreams and wanting to help others along the way. And today's guest, Sam, is no different. I'm so excited, so honored to have Sam at Sam FasterFreedom on the show today. His story is absolutely incredible, how over 5 years he went from working a job that he liked okay, his words, to be financially free. More importantly, this is a stunning example and a stunning story of how a, quote, normal guy from the Midwest can actually be super successful in life and real estate. He's got a podcast, a coaching program. He owns 200 and change properties, short-term storage facilities. He does a bit of it all. They host a fantastic meetup out in St. Louis in the Midwest. Such an inspirational and fascinating story. So we hope you will enjoy this one. And here comes Sam. Hey Sam, how you doing? Thank you so much for your time today. Super excited to have you here. How you been?
I've been well, Nathan. Excited to have this conversation with you. The initial chat was fun, so I'm excited to get this thing rolling.
Very cool. So why don't we get it rolling with you telling us and the audience a little bit more about yourself. Who's Sam Primm? Where are you at? What do you do in life? Where have you found success?
Yeah, I appreciate it. So I am smack dab in the middle of the country in Missouri, and I kind of walked the path that I think a lot of the listeners probably want to walk. I know we'll unpack it, but basically in a nutshell, I graduated from college, got a big boy job, and was doing that for a couple of years and was not quite fulfilled. So I started to invest in real estate on the side, then eventually built up enough equity and rentals and connections to quit that job, go full-time into real estate, and then became financially free, quote unquote, meaning more passive income every month than my expenses. I did all that in about 5 years, and now I'm teaching other people how to do the same thing. So it's been quite the journey, a lot of ups and downs, but it's fun to take control of your future, to own your future, and to be able to, be in control of what happens and not be worried about the stock market or what's going on. So it's been quite the journey, and excited to break it down with you.
Before we jump into the show, we wanted to let you know that this episode is brought to you by EveryREITool.com. Every REI Tool is the most comprehensive online catalog of resources for real estate investors and professionals. Whether you are looking for the best deal analyzer, the most loved syndication platform, fix and flip rehab calculators, dialers, lead generation solutions, rent collectors, or the next real estate book to read, every REI Tool has it all. Quickly and easily find the best software, apps, services, books, podcasts, and courses to help accelerate and grow your real estate business by heading over to EveryREITool.com. And don't forget to sign up to get exclusive product reviews, promos, and discount codes. EveryREITool.com. Now, on to the show.
Absolutely. So maybe I'll start with why real estate, right? I mean, there's a lot of ways to build wealth, stock market, crypto. I don't know, hope I won't get canceled off this show for mentioning crypto, but there are many ways to build wealth, right, and passive income. Why do you fall into real estate, or why do you choose? I don't know if you fell into it or if you chose real estate.
Well, because I don't think I'm smart enough to do any of that other stuff, and I didn't have enough money to do any of that other stuff. If you want to hit it big in crypto or in the stock market, or create some app or some invention or start some company, you need money to do that for the most part. And real estate's one of those cool things that you don't need any money to get started in. And once you do get the ball rolling, if you do need money, it doesn't have to be any of your own money. And real estate is such a powerful known asset that I can raise money pretty easily to buy a house. Me raising money to invest in a software or start a company, that's a little bit harder of a conversation, but everybody understands real estate, or at least to a certain degree. So being able to raise money and being able to conceptualize it is pretty easy, even for a dumb kid like me from Missouri. So it's just one of those things where it's just the barrier of entry is so low. And I know the stat, the stat, everybody knows the stat, 90% of millionaires are created through real estate. So why would I try and reinvent the wheel, and focus on some other niche way that has only worked for a few people? I just go with the masses and took whatever was already out there and tried to make it my own.
So that's awesome, and I was hoping we'd get there. I want to unpack that a little bit, because maybe it's like a misconception that people have in general. Because you said the barrier to entry in real estate is pretty low, right? And you don't need money to get started. I thought you needed 20 or 25% down to buy a rental property. That's quite a bit of money, even if it's like $100,000 home that you can find in the Midwest in your backyard. That's still 25 grand.
Well, you don't need 25 grand, Nathan. You know that. I like you teed that up just like a softball. I can't hit the softball like I used to, but you put it on a tee for me. Yeah, you don't need your own money to invest in real estate. There's a ton of different ways to do it, but in general, there's a ton of different money sources that you can go to and source money to buy real estate, somebody else's money. When I got started, I didn't have 20% down to put down on a rental property, with my job. I didn't have that much extra money, so I just got creative and I borrowed the money to buy a property. And my plan was to fix it up and flip it and take that 20% down and take that profit and put that down on a property. So I thought, I'm going to buy a property using somebody else's money. I knew you could borrow from private lenders. I remember watching, Flip or Flop or all those shows on HGTV that they would borrow money from somebody and split the profit. So I knew you could do that. So that was my plan: borrow money, make a profitable flip, and then use that 20% and take it to the bank and put down on a rental property. And during that, that initial actual property, my very first property, I learned out about cash out refinances and the Burr method, and ended up keeping that property and making it work to where I had that very first property be a rental when I thought it was going to be a flip. And I still own it today. And just that one perfect example of real estate and the power of it. That property, not to get too in the weeds here, but that property was worth 125 grand when I bought it. Now it's worth 225 grand. I owed 100 grand when I bought it. All said and done, now I owe like 60, 70 grand. So I have like 150 grand in equity almost in one rental property that I bought using it in my own money. So that's just a microcosm of like the power of even what one property can do in just like 7 or 8 years.
And what was your, I'm curious because that's interesting. And I mean, obviously it's a fantastic success story that you could do, but what was your mindset like when you said, okay, I want to change my life. I don't want this 9 to 5, big boy job, I think like you called it earlier. I want to get into real estate, right? But I have no money. Where was your head at to be like, okay, what was next, right? Because even was it, I have to educate myself? Is it, and even if that's the case and you're like, okay, I have no money, and then what? So what happened after that? How did you get into that first property?
Yeah, so the first property, so me and my buddy Lucas, we grew up, we were, best friends growing up, went to college together, had businesses in college, some of them legal, some of them not going down that path on this show, but we had done some things together, and we both, got, big boy jobs after college, and we were doing those jobs. He hated his job. I liked my job okay, and we just wanted to do something together. And I think honestly, I was trying to scratch a little bit of that competitive itch. Grew up playing competitive sports and, always trying to win and compete and have scorecards and scoreboards and be able to compare yourself and all that stuff. And then you're smack dab in the real world and you're like, well, where is all that excitement and energy and competitiveness? Where does that go? Well, we funneled that into buying single family rental properties, and we didn't have that big of goals at first. Our first goal was to buy one property a year for 10 years. That was the original goal, so nothing crazy. So our mindset was pretty small at that point. We can talk about mindset, and I'm sure we will, but our mindset was very, very small at that point, thinking that we would own 10 rental properties, in 10 years, which is a great goal for a lot of people. But as soon as we started to kind of see the power of it and see the scalability of it, our eyes widened and our goals got a lot bigger.
And have you always been working with your buddy Lucas, or or do you do stuff on your own? Was that the first one? And I guess what
Yeah.
I'm asking is, you feel like you have to partner when you get started to get to make progress, or could you do this alone?
You can definitely do it alone. I think with the right partner, 1 plus 1 can equal 50. If it's the right partner, right? Having somebody that is balances your strengths and weaknesses, having somebody to lean on when, you're down, and when they're down, you can pick them up. And then when you both are up, which is, 90% of the time for us, man, some crazy stuff can happen. So, we've always done it all together. And I honestly feel like that's the reason we are so successful. We are better together than apart. And we have really gone against the grain. Everybody says no family, no friends in your business. We currently have 46 employees, and about 15 of them we grew up with. Like, I'm talking friends from elementary school. I'm talking friends from college. Like, I'm talking stepbrothers, and I'm talking brother-in-law. So we have taken culture and our friends, and we said, we had a conversation. I remember specifically at dinner when we were just getting started. I think we had maybe 10, 15 rentals at the time. So not just getting started, but we're like, we think we're going somewhere really cool with this. We see the power, we see the end goal of, being very, very wealthy. If we're going some cool places, would we rather take the people we love up with us, or would rather keep them separate? And we decided to take them with us. And for the most part, it's really, really worked out. It's been fun. But I would just advise anybody doing that to make sure you have the right values, make sure you have the communication, lines open at the beginning and during the process, because it obviously can get hairy with friends and family. But we have definitely gone that route of bringing our friends and family on with us.
What was it like going from your first to the second property?
Though it was a lot easier, so we understood about the Burr method, and understood the max allowable offer formula. We understood quite a bit more. You mentioned mindset earlier. Our mindset was, let's learn this on the job, and I still think that's the case. I tell my students all the time that you're only going to learn 20% from my course or from a book or from a podcast. The other 80% is going to be on the job, and you're going to fail and you're going to screw up and all those things that we can get into. But the first one was a little bit hairier, not really even know what we were doing with them. But the second one, we met a wholesaler. We bought it from them. We used the same private lender. It was pretty easy, and for the most part, they get easier as you go with occasional hiccups and road bumps that you run into. But in general, they do get easier as you go.
And when you started, I'm curious, did you, again, maybe mindset, maybe process or practice, I'm not quite sure what the best question or best phrasing for this question is, but did you have like a goal in mind, said, oh, I want to try real estate, so let's get this first one and then the second one? Or did you say, we're all in, we're doing this, and we have a goal of hitting a number of units, a number of doors, a number of, a dollar number? What was that like for you, that you just decided, okay, first one worked, now the second one worked, and then you didn't stop?
Yeah, I think it was more, we started to set goals a little bit down the line, and we can talk about those a little bit. But at first it was just, let's do this first one. Let's get another one. Like, we, tend to do things that tend to go all in, especially when you have two very motivated people working on it. You guys are both working in the evenings, or at least one of you is. So it's kind of like the project and, this company is getting worked on 24/7 almost, because at least one of us was working on it. So what we did was we, had that first one and the second one, and we started to do pretty good and surpass our goal of one property a year for 10 years. So then our next goal was, $25 million in real estate by 2025. And we're going to hit 50 million this year, and it's 2023. So we decided to, set bigger goals as we were building a team and having targets to shoot for. So, yeah, we have gone past the small goal setting. Our new goal is $1 billion in real estate, and to bring an NBA team to St. Louis. So we are not shooting short on our goals. I don't know that we can surpass those like we have our other ones.
I love it. Awesome. I'd be remiss if I didn't touch on, is it a feud? I don't know if it's a feud. I could talk about it, but it's, I think you know where I'm going with this. But real estate, right, and debt. Everybody's afraid of debt, right? Especially in real estate. You don't own all these properties, free and clear, I'm assuming, and you're full of debt, and debt's bad. Didn't you hear? Didn't you have a fight with the one and only Dame Ramsey about this?
Well, I didn't have a fight, as more of a defense. Yeah, out of
Fair.
nowhere,
Sorry, fair
I've
point.
No, you're good. I mean, I've done a little bit of content, to be fair, on Dave, like everybody has. He says that is bad. This is why I think that is good. But I was actually on vacation in Mexico, and I had somebody text me a clip of Dave's YouTube, a clip from his YouTube that was as part of his TV show, or part of his TV and his radio show. And he's like, calling me a liar, and all these different things. So he basically, yeah, you're right. Dave called me a liar on his show, which could not have been a better thing for me and my brand, and being able to respond to that with a little bit of vigor behind it, and challenge him to let me on his show and be a little smartass about it. So yeah, Dave Ramsey hates debt, and he hates me apparently, and he thinks I'm a liar, but I like that and I appreciate that. I always tell people that if you want to not be poor, follow Dave Ramsey. If you want the potential to create wealth, follow me, because what he teaches people is not a wealth creating process. Saving your money, paying off your debt, pitching pennies is fine. It's a way to not, go to the grave with a bunch of debt, but it's not a way to retire early and enjoy life. So there's nothing wrong with this plan. It works for a lot of different people, but don't get it twisted. You're not going to create financial freedom by following Dave Ramsey. You have to follow, people like us and listen to podcasts like this to get a different perspective on things. So his brain has gotten so big that I think he thinks, or he portrays, that his way is the only way. And when people talk in absolutes, it annoys me, and it's dangerous, actually. It's kind of scary when people talk in absolutes like he does.
Isn't it also that he got burned by real estate and bad debt in his time, which is why I think he might be against it now, right? So there's a whole backstory there. But in any case, I'm curious to hear, were you never afraid of debt? Because I think that's what a lot of people, again, maybe they listen to Dave Ramsey or others that talk about debt's bad, debt's bad. And I think oftentimes when they say that, they're thinking about or talking about like credit card debt or stuff like that. Were you never afraid to get into, millions of dollars of debt?
No, I never really was, because I never listened to Dave, and it wasn't I had anything against him. I just never really came across those teachings, so I was never told that it was bad. So I kind of came at it unbiased. I didn't think it was good, didn't think it was bad, but I started to see deals and see examples of other people and see my real life examples of, hey, if I borrow money to buy this asset that I can't buy unless I borrow money, and that asset goes up in value, and somebody else pays down the mortgage, and I get tax-free cash flow, like, why would I stop doing this? Assuming you're doing it the right way, right? Right? Not buying a car or consumer debt. It's buying assets. So I just went into it with, it makes so much sense. I borrow money to buy an asset, and I use the cash the asset produces to pay off who I borrowed the money from, and I own that asset. And guess what? Assets create wealth. Well, equity and assets create wealth. So it's kind of just like it makes so much sense to me. And I've seen it happen so many times with me and people around me and my students, and so many examples of it that, yeah, I'm not scared of it at all. And I respect it. It's one of those things where I don't do it blindly. And I do it with, the right, properly leveraging debt, as I like to say. But if you do it the right way, it's how wealth's created. Mark Zuckerberg didn't create Facebook with no debt. He borrowed money from Peter Thiel to create Facebook. Jeff Bezos didn't create Amazon with his own money. He borrowed money from his parents and from some private lenders. Like, every business, most businesses, I guess, besides Dave Ramsey, starts out with leveraging debt some way, somehow, to create a product or to buy a building. So I just saw everybody else doing it, and if you do it the right way, it's the way to create wealth, and that's what I wanted to do, is create wealth, not just live a normal life.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And maybe this is a good, segue, normal life, segue here, because I'm curious to hear from you, because obviously you're a very successful person, right? You've got hundreds of properties, you've done thousands of flips or 1,000 flips, whatever the number is. You're a coach, you have a big following online, right? You generate amazing content, online. You're friends with Dave Ramsey, apparently. I'm just curious, what's your favorite success story that you like to share with others about yourself and your journey?
Yeah, I would just say the favorite success story. I mean, it's kind of, I don't know if it's an exact example, but it's kind of one of those things where I grew up in a very, very frugal household, like pinching pennies, saving money, taking my lunch to school every day, being embarrassed that I was taking my lunch to school every day, which is stupid. Which is stupid, right? But like, when you're a kid and everybody else is buying lunch and you're not, it's just, and getting one pair of shoes a year, all those kind of things. And I didn't really know it at the time, but I just didn't really. I just had like that, not that fear of money, but that like fear of spending money. And then once I let go of that, whether it was because I was making good money or because probably my mindset shifted, or a combination of the two, now, and I don't want this to sound douchey. Can I say douchey? If not, cut that out. I don't want this to sound over the top, but
Douchey's fine.
now I don't worry about money. I don't spend money on stupid stuff. I have a Ford Lightning. My wife has a Navigator, nice cars, but we don't have supercars. I don't have 4 vacation houses, but I don't worry about money anymore. And it just seems to come. The less I worry about money, the more money comes in. The less I worry about making money and providing solutions and impacting people, the more I make money. So it's one of those things where I grew up worrying about money and pinching pennies, and it never came. The minute that I stopped worrying about it, and the minute I stopped looking at price tags, and I get it, and the minute I stopped, worrying about, they quoted me $450 online to rent a car and want to go down to Florida and it was $700. Like just not worrying about that crap and not arguing for half an hour with the teller who can't like the minute I stopped doing all that is the minute that I started to make more money than I ever thought that I ever could, like more money in a month than I was making in a year and a half at my other job. The just minute it started to come in more. And I don't think it's just because I was buying real estate. I think it's because of the mindset that I have that money is, while it's measurable, it's just something out there. It's not good, it's not evil. It's just something that comes along with providing value. So that was kind of a spin answer to your question, but I think that just the mindset of that, I think, has been the coolest thing for me is just not worrying about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great success story, obviously. And I'm curious for you, how has success or your definition of success changed over time? Maybe 20 years ago, whatever your job. When you started real estate today, tomorrow, now apparently it's NBA is the next goal. Is that success? How has that changed over time for you?
Yeah, I think I've come to realize that success isn't like a destination, right? It's kind of like a stop along the way of a journey. Like I always view success differently. Everybody's version of success is different, and mine is different, and mine changes. And I think that's okay. I think growing up, you think I want to be successful because I want to have like a paid off house and retire at 55 or 60 and like be on the beach in Florida six. Like there's this destination you're traveling to, and that's what success is. It's a place, and I'm going to be one day and I'm going to wake up, I'm going to say I am success today. I think realizing that it's never a place where you reach, is just a certain maybe benchmarks along the journey that you can kind of look back and appreciate, but always wanting more. I like to say that I am very satisfied and unsatisfied at the same time. I'm very happy with my life, my family, the things I've done, what I've accomplished, but I'm just getting started. Like I am literally barely scratching the surface of the things I'm going to do. So having that contentment with that motivation is a newer thing for me. I would say maybe in the past like year and a half or 2 years, ever since things started to really pop. But it's success is just it's different for everybody, and the more I like to say, and I've heard some people say, so I'm not the originator of this, but when people say you should do something, like that word should, that's like not a good word. Like there's no who says what should or shouldn't be. You do you. Just get rid of the word should. If nobody used the word should, I think a lot of people would be a lot happier because they wouldn't compare themselves and think that somebody else's opinion really matters. So
Totally, no, no, awesome. But obviously, it can't all be rainbows and unicorns and ponies and great success stories. How about like a more difficult time in your life that you feel comfortable sharing with the audience? Is there such a time in your life, and kind of what'd you do to get out of that situation?
yeah, I've had several of them, and we can kind of do a deep dive. I'll just kind of lay a few out there. I mean, we've lost, $150,000 on a self-storage building that we're building because it flew over. We had an apartment complex flood that cost us 200 grand. We've actually lost money 5 out of the past 8 months in our flipping company, our biggest company, 23 employees, 170 grand a month in overhead. So like it's not all rainbows and butterflies, like you said, and there's a lot of challenges that come along with that. And some of the biggest challenges that I've been coming through recently is just growing this team. And we got 46 employees now, and the culture and making sure everybody gets along. And there's great people that just don't get along, but we're not going to let you go because you don't like this person doesn't like you. Like having that team aspect and trying to keep our culture of mindset of abundance and openness and loving and respecting people, that's been challenging lately. And that's not even necessarily monetary. So you have the monetary challenges, but when you're trying to grow 150, 200 person company in the next few years, you have a lot of challenges like that. So challenges are always there. They're always present. I feel like the sooner I embrace them, and it sounds corny, but as soon as I view them as learning lessons and not failures, is the kind of how they've helped me, and they're kind of stepping stones. I've come to realize that failures are like literally on the path to success. They're not off the path. They're on the path to success. You won't be successful unless you fail. And everybody that and I know that's successful and that's more successful than us, they've just failed more than us. right? So I think it's just knowing that it's normal, knowing that you're in good company. Elon Musk has failed a lot, right? And that's how he's got to where he is. So knowing that failure is normal and successful people fail has helped me. And then just getting up every day. I struggle with being present, honestly, and like being in the moment. I'm always looking ahead. So that's a detriment, but it's also a benefit. I feel like I'm never too worried about what's going on if things are going bad. I'm never too excited if we get a big deal. I just kind of keep on going, keep looking ahead. That has us as negatives for sure, but one big positive is not getting worried about a few failures because I know we're going to keep going and I'm thinking 6 months ahead, a year ahead.
Yeah, and I'm curious to hear from you because I mean I couldn't agree more with that. I mean it's all about the mindset as you were describing, right? Just to pick yourself back up and keep going, and you know that, or you accept and understand that failure is a stepping stone on your journey to growth, right? And it is what it is. And you have a coaching program, right? So you have a bunch of students that you work with. I'm curious what you tell them when you encounter students or people in general. It doesn't have to be in your program, right? But that are kind of glass half empty mindset. I wasn't dealt the right hand of cards. My parents don't have money, all this stuff, right? What do you tell them to kind of get out of that mindset and flip it to maybe glass half full? Or what's your secret sauce to kind of help people going that maybe helped you as well?
Yeah, and that's a great question. It's a tough one too because not going to give you a depends answer, but everybody's different. Everybody has their different insecurities, and everybody has their different reasons. But in general, I mean, we do have kind of steps we do. I talk about my affairs and talk them through that. But a big thing I do is just bring up other people. Like one of my students, Eunice. He's a great example. I use him all the time. He came over here from Africa when he was 5. He grew up in the foster care system. He was stabbed in high school by his uncle 27 times. He was clipped by a drive-by shooting when he was taking out the trash when he was in high school. And his girlfriend dumped him, which is the worst out of all of it, he said, all in high school. He's 21 years old right now. He owns 11 rental properties and wholesale 15 rental properties. So you, not you, but you that think that you got it wrong because your mommy and daddy didn't give you money or your student loan debt, get off your high horse and realize that people have had it way worse than you and have been way more successful than you. There's somebody out there that has it worse than you that has been successful. So just giving some perspective and some examples usually helps. But then there are those people that are so deep entrenched into the woe is me, I need things handed to me. Some people they're not a lost cause, but they take a lot more eye-opening examples. So I just like to give examples like that to people and then just hopefully show them solutions and let them see that the issues that they're overcoming are part of their journey and everybody's journey is different, and stop comparing your 3rd chapter to my 8th chapter. That you would never do that realistically in a book or in like a sporting event. You wouldn't compare the first quarter to the fourth. They're completely different. They're completely different. So those are just some ways that I like to try to help students get over that glass half empty way, as you put it.
And shout out Eunice, by the way. That's an incredible story, man.
I know,
Crazy.
right? Hmm.
Fantastic. We'll have to see if we get him on the show because that would be an
Yeah,
incredible story
I
to
can
share.
connect you guys.
That would
Yeah.
be awesome. Would you do anything different if you went back in time to get to where you are today faster, maybe, or to get to a different place, maybe? What would you do differently?
Yeah, I probably would. I'm not a guy that like everything happens for a reason. Kind of my journey is my journey. I do believe that to a certain extent, but I'm a very big nuance guy. I don't know. I don't think there's a ton of black and white. I think there's a lot of grays and colors and things. So one thing that I feel like I would have done earlier is maybe gotten over my like pride of like asking for help, whether that be joining a community, paying for a coach. Like every successful person I know, and there's zero exception that I know, maybe there's an exception in the world, every single successful person I know pays for some type of like to be around a life coach or like a marriage counselor or a mentorship or a mastermind. Like everybody understands the power of somebody else's knowledge that's successful. So me embracing that, I was prideful at first. I think I was offered a few mentorships and a few masterminds that I turned down because I'm not going to pay $2,000 for that. I'm not going to pay $5,000 for that. I can just do it on my own. I'll roll up my sleeve and I'll get there on my own, not knowing that literally somebody telling me, 3 or 4 pieces of advice and connecting me to one person can make me hundreds of thousands of dollars when I spent $5,000. Like getting over the pride, I guess, or ego maybe, of like thinking I can do it on my own and not leaning on other people's knowledge, whether free or paid, I think was something that would have gotten me a little bit further, a little bit faster. But in general, I feel like every single deal that makes sense, we keep and buy, and like we've done a lot. We haven't really slow rolled anything. So and it's been a pretty crazy journey doing all this in about 8.5 years. So I wouldn't have changed a ton, because a lot of the things I did, the time I spent, the losses, the spending time at properties on weekends, 20 hours a weekend for 3 months getting a project done, and with the full-time jobs, that all did help me learn a lot and understand the value of hiring things out. So I feel like a lot of my failures, lessons learned, have helped me, but I probably would have leaned on other people a little bit sooner and gotten over my ego a little bit sooner.
And maybe this is going to be your answer for my next question here, but I'm curious, for those who are listening to this, when they're done listening to this, what is the next step, the one action you think you recommend or should you tell them to go do? To kind of, especially like for those who are interested in getting started, changing their future, maybe getting into real estate if they haven't already.
Yeah, I think that's twofold. The step 1A and 1B. Step 1A is just getting a base level of knowledge, so you understand the concepts of wholesaling, of investing, of flipping, of double closing versus assignment, of what the Burr method is, what small local banks can do. Just a base level of knowledge through platforms like this, through other people on social media. That's kind of 1A. I think you just need to know a little bit. But then the more powerful one is connecting with your local community. I cannot stress this enough. Join your local real estate investing meetup groups. Join your local real estate investing Facebook groups. I tell people that have never heard of meetups, I say, what if there's a place you could go once a month that wholesalers are at, agents are at, private money lenders are at, hard money lenders are at, contractors are at, bankers are at, like lawyers are at. Everybody you need to meet to be successful in real estate all meets in one place in almost every, even mid to lower tier market, 100,000 or more MSA. Every single one of them has them, and they have them online. And you can do Facebook groups, join the Facebook groups that are a little bit sketchy, I would say, but you can type in looking for a plumber in 63301, and you will get people giving you referrals to plumbers. So like connecting with that community and immersing yourself, whether you're introvert or extrovert, you can do the online or the in-person or both, but just getting involved in your local community and making those connections. I mean, we use contractors that we used on our very first house that we met on Thumbtack. I don't know if you remember that app. I don't know if it's around
I
anymore,
still
but an
use it.
app where you can
They
do,
just fixed our
yeah.
roof.
So just getting involved in your local community, and I'm not saying paying for anything. I mean, that helps, of course, but just going to these free or low paid things will completely change your life. I mean, half the employees we've hired, I say a lot of them were friends, but the other half were people we met at our local meetup. We host a meetup here in St. Louis, 250, 300 people every month. Half the people we've hired, we've met there because we've drank with them after, we've networked them, we get to know them a little bit. After 6, 8 months and there's an opening and we say, hey, we have this opening, they apply and we already know them and we know they're a decent culture fit just from getting to know them, because culture is more important than anything to us. So just doing that has opened up so many doors for us, and it will for anybody that actually embraces it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, because I've done all those things that you mentioned, right? From, Eventbrite to Meetup to, Thumbtack, Facebook. Facebook is a ton, and I'm not a big Facebook user, but it just has so many forums, so many groups, so many resources for people to reach out to. And I've done all of those. So while we're at it, why don't you plug your meetup? Because I know you have a pretty big meetup every month over in St. Louis, right?
Yeah, it's called Buyers Club. If you go to buyers-club.com, you can find out about it. It's the third Thursday of every month. It's free to attend for your first time. And like I said, there's 250, 300 people there. People literally buy and sell houses there all the time. Usually, there's a cash bar. We pay for dinner, but there's a cash bar. People drinking after, doing deals and meeting contractors and making connections. We provide dinner, and then we have a expert that speaks. I speak every once in a while, at least once a year. Lucas does, and we have other people that come in that are experts. They speak for an hour, and then from 8 to 10, it's at our office. So we sometimes stay later depending on how many drinks we've had. But it's a great place where people connect, and it's a community of like-minded people that want to help you is what it is. And we, have hired so many people. We've done so many deals from it. It's been a great thing for the community as well as our businesses.
Absolutely, and I would be going there every month if I could, but I'm just not local. So maybe next time.
You get your butt out here for one of them. All right,
We'll do
real
that.
quick. So I've had students last month. We had 2 students from California, 1 from New York, and 1 that drove from Utah 20 hours straight to be there. We've had a student come from Ecuador. So we've had people travel from every single month. We have at least a handful of people from out of state. So you need to be one of those people. Maybe even have you speak at one of them.
I will do both those things. There we go. We just set that date, and we'll do it. We'll make that happen. All right, Sam, I want to make sure I get you out of here. I could talk forever. There's so many other things I wanted to get into, but maybe for for another show. What's one of your book recommendations that you have for the audience?
Rich Dad Poor Dad. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Everybody says that one.
We would have cut
I
that
was
out
going to say,
anyway. Sorry, Robert Kiyosaki. Everybody says that.
I know I was kidding.
Yeah,
That's
no,
not
I
one I
know.
was going to say. One that I really like for somebody that's beginning is it's called Eat That Frog. It's about just doing the hardest thing of the day at the beginning of the day. Just the mindset that does, getting a big win. Everything else just is downhill from there. And everybody pushes off the hardest thing for the day. At the end of the day, then they don't feel like doing it and they push it off. So there's a lot more to it, but it's called Eat That Frog, and just getting the hardest thing out of the way at the beginning of the day. It's huge, and I've done it, and it's made a huge impact on me. That and the book Traction.
Yeah.
EOS. We use that to run all four of
Gino
well,
Wickman.
5, I guess, if you include our nonprofit. All 5 of our businesses we run through EOS. So that's a pretty powerful tool for somebody that has just them or they have 100 employees.
Yeah, fantastic. How about an app, a piece of software, a tool that you use on a regular basis that's helped you achieve success or maintain your success now?
Well, social media, I'll say that just in general, getting, on all the apps there and getting free information from people and being able to spread information. I don't know, I don't know like how the social media apps work. I'm on them all the time. Like I'm not like a guru on them, but I've got 2.3 million followers and I don't know what the heck I'm doing. So that tells you the power of that. But as far as something besides that, someone can get, I'm trying to look at the name of it right here. It's called Headway is what I've used. It basically takes these books and it gives you a quick 5-minute explanation, because when I read books, and we do it all the time as a leadership team, we do like book clubs where before every meeting, we talk about a chapter, and we do a lot of that. But there's always just 2 or 3 things that stick out from a book, or that you can even implement from a book. You can't implement something from every chapter. That would be impossible. So this Headway app, as it sounds like you've heard of it too, it just takes these books and just gives you a very well written little Cliff Notes version of the biggest things to take from a book without having to read the book. So that's been something I've really enjoyed recently.
Yeah, great app. I actually use Readwise as well, and on right by side Headway, because it takes like you can highlight sections of a book or type them up yourself, and it just stores them and then emails them to you on a regular basis. So you always get like these summaries or the important parts and passages of a book that are just sent back to you as reminders. Those are great apps to have.
One more too. I just thought of this. I might as well put it out there. So samchat.io. Go there. Everybody can go there. It's Chat GPT, but for real estate. It's taken tens of thousands of hours of my content. We threw it in the back end of OpenAI. It's free, so it's not charging anybody anything. But it's basically like Chat GPT, but it takes all of my content, tens of thousands of hours, and it makes answers that I've given and then links the videos. So you can ask about private lenders, anything about real estate that I've talked about. My butt off for the past 3 years is on there. And we compared it to ChatGPT, and obviously ChatGPT is incredible, but it's not for real estate investors.
Exactly.
It's basically, it gives way better answers. So there you go. If you want to know anything about real estate, samchat.io, and you'll get the answers there.
I'm going to go try that out, because it's one of the things that everybody's been talking about ChatGPT, and it's like, yeah, it's okay for very generic or general topics. The minute you want anything specific, it fails pretty quickly. So I'm very excited to give this one a test. Samchat.io, I love it. Last question here for you, Sam, and then I'll get you out of here. How can our audience help you and reach out to you, I guess, if you so choose?
Yeah, I would say just whatever social media platform you're on, I'm on there. So just would appreciate a follow there if you got any value out of today. Get to know me a little bit through there. I do have a mentorship. We do have 1,200 students that own over 200 million in real estate. So it's becoming very powerful mentorship. I think it's the second biggest one out there, maybe behind Paces.
Yep.
So it's a pretty big mentorship, and it's only been going on 18 months. So if you have interest in that down the line, great. But the first thing I would say is just follow me on social media, get to know me a little bit, and just shoot me a DM on Instagram. I'm still the one that answers every message. Eventually I may hire that out, but right now I'm still the one that, I'll get back to you in a day or two. So if you have a question, just reach out to me at FasterFreedom on Instagram, and I will answer it within a day or two and give you an actual answer from me. So I would say that's the things to do there.
Fantastic. And I would recommend everyone go and follow you, Sam, because all the content that you produce is absolutely fantastic. And before, you were saying you didn't know what to do or how to use social media. I think you know how to use it very well, in the sense that you just tell your story, right? And that's what resonates with people, and it's a fantastic follow. So Sam, with that, I'm going to get you out of here. Thank you so much for your time. It was such an awesome conversation. Pleasure having you on, and hopefully we'll have you on sometime soon.
Sounds good. I'll come back anytime. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Sam. Wow, what an incredible conversation we just had with Sam Primm at Sam FasterFreedom on all social media. And if you found any value in our content today, we'd love for you to help spread the word. And if you could do us a favor and just share this with someone else, as well as, comment, like, subscribe, it really does make a difference. And we'd be incredibly grateful. It's a small action that goes a very, very long way. And again, thanks for tuning in. And guess what? We have new episodes coming out 3 times a week. So don't just be a passive listener. Let's embrace the work we were meant to do and make each day truly amazing.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Another episode of The Gentle Art of Crushing It. It was an amazing episode. We know we sure learned a lot, and we hope you did as well. We want to take a second and thank you so much for viewing or listening to this episode. And please just know that we only ask for one favor, and that is to make this life magnificent. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.